Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I am your host, Dr. Yukon Suckit. I forgot to almost say my name there for a second. Dr. Yukon Suckit. And today I am broadcasting to you from my secret underground headquarters. And I am bringing to you a deck that I found. God, I gotta believe it was on Aether Hub. I'll put the link in the description below along with the playlist. You'll find it there. Sorry for not being able to mention specifically where I got it from or who did it. I think it was Aether Hub. And it is, I called it initially Mind Flayer because I said to myself, man, I really haven't played with Mind Flayer. Let's go find a deck that has Mind Flayer in it. Let's see what we can do. And I found this deck and I thought, yeah, because the other thing I was looking for was Toxrill. And I saw both Mind Flayer and Toxrill in the deck. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're going to try out. So it is actually, as far as I can tell, SULTAI Horror Tribal. That's what we got going on here. And the thing about horrors is that they don't really know or care about each other much. So there's not really any interaction. It's not like one horror helps out another horror, the way that goblins do or angels do. They just, it's like Monster Island. They pretty much just leave each other alone. So for being a tribal, it doesn't really, they're not synergistic with each other very much. Let's just put it that way. It's kind of like planeswalkers, you get a bunch of them out and it's fantastic, but they don't really do much. I mean, the most you could do is sometimes one will put out like a little dude and two more will like pump the hell out of it, making it super awesome for a second. That works out well. Horrors are less than that, but we'll get into that. So let's take a look at what's in this deck. At the low end, we've got Consider. So Consider costs you 1 blue. You get to take a look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into the graveyard. Otherwise, you draw a card. And from what I can tell, you want to put the big dudes, the 5s and the 7s here, into your graveyard. So look at it. If it's a big dude, put it into your graveyard. Otherwise, draw the card. Because anything less than 5 is what you're looking to grab to start off with. Next, we got the Meathook Massacre. This is your board wipe. And, if that's not going to happen, if they're not even playing creatures, which I've been seeing a lot lately, you just put it out. And then anytime your creature dies, your opponent loses life. Whenever an opponent's creature dies, you gain a life. And there's a lot of your creatures dying. Just having this out will help to kill them because every death of yours is one less life for them. We got Old Stickfingers. This guy is relatively cheap. He only costs 2 to put out, and his power and toughness is equal to the number of creature cards into your graveyard. So if there's nothing in there, he'll just die immediately. But hopefully you'll start to pile dudes in there quickly. The X on here is that you pay X, and you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Really, all you see is the creature cards. You don't see the rest of it. You put all the creature cards revealed this way onto your graveyard, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Whatever, you don't care, because whatever, you don't know it's on the top, so it's now at the bottom, blah, blah, blah. But basically, you're taking X creatures out of this deck and you're putting into your graveyard, which is where you want them, okay? So this guy loads it up, and plus it makes him super buff at the same time. You got 3 of those guys. These guys are great in this deck. We got Thirst for Discovery, so provided you got the blue, you draw 3 cards, you discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land. Do not discard your basic land. You need the lands. This deck is land hungry. You want to discard 2 cards, and you want them to be your biggest dudes possible. Something's rocking a 7, you put it in your graveyard. If it's rocking a 5, there's a good chance you can make it to it. So we'll hold on, right? We got Raffine's Silencer. So this card is kind of super lame, but this is the deck where it shines a little bit. Costs you 3, it's just a 1/1. But when she enters the battlefield, she connives. So what does connive do? It means you draw a card, and then you have to discard a card. So that means that if you draw like a Thirst for Discovery, you could get rid of like a Hullbreaker Horror that might be in your hand already, which is exactly what you're looking to do. And when that happens, then she gets a +1/+1. So then she's now a 2/2. And at that point, she's actually a really good blocker because, or attacker. Because if anybody, if she gets into a fight, she's going to do 2 points of damage. And then if she dies, then she'll basically do another 2 points of damage to whatever, opponent's creature she feels like, which means she could take out something as much of like a 4 potentially. So she is pretty decent. Otherwise, she's just something that's out there. We got Binding of the Old Gods. Only 2 of them. Destroy target non-permanent, non-permanent, and opponent controls. That's what you're looking for. Plus, you can go for another land. You get yourself a forest. Do we even have forests in here? Oh, forest comes from this guy right here because he's a forest plains land. So yeah, you got 2 of those. You can grab 2 of these. That's pretty much it. Any of these other thing in forests? Nope. So yeah, Spara's headquarters are the only parts that are actually forests. And lastly, your creatures gain Death Touch. So this deck, this particular card, I'm not sure we really need. Your creatures needing Death Touch is not a big deal. And I like the idea of getting another land because getting land is going to be hard. And destroy target non-land permanent, sure, that's good too. But if you could kind of, I don't know, maybe do that stuff a little bit cheaper, it might be better. We've got the Mind Flayer. So yeah, this is what I really wanted to play this deck for, was the Mind Flayer. It costs 5. You can, here's the deal. We have Haunting Voyage. Let's go with that one first. Haunting Voyage says you pay, what is that, 6? You choose a creature type, and you return up to 2 creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that's what it does, right? And so in this case, you're going to pick Horror. Why? Because we got Horror, 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 and Horror. This is why it's Horror Tribal. Also, Old Stickfingers. He is also a Horror. And when you say that too much, it sounds like you're saying horror. Look at all these horrors all the time. Anyways, you pick Horror. You get to bring back any 2 of you want. Possibly it's Mind Flayer. Possibly it's Toxrill, right? Those guys would be great to bring back. I mean, Mind Flayer means you're taking 2 of their dudes. That's usually the best thing to do, right? If you do if you do Toxrill, then every one of his creatures is going to get a slime counter on them at their turn. Does he put out slime as well? Oh yeah, yeah. If you had Sludge Monster and Toxrill at the same time, then this guy would put 1 on everybody. At which point, this guy would make them all into 2/2s with no abilities. So what a great combo that is, right? It depends what you're fighting against and what you have in your graveyard. But these guys, this is a situation where these 2 horrors work well together, right? So anyways, Mind Flayer lets you take control of a target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Problem is, as soon as Mind Flayer gets out there, they just start gunning for Mind Flayer like crazy so they can get their dude back. But, if you got somebody else's guy for a turn, you got him for another turn, right? Sludge Monster. Whenever Sludge Monster enters the battlefield or attacks, you put a slime counter on up to 1 other target creature. Non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have a base power and toughness or 2/2. So you really can't hurt yourself with it because all your dudes are horrors. We got Froghemoth. And I'm thinking this guy might be better off as Vorinclex, but we're going to be playing him with Froghemoth for now. Froghemoth comes out, 5 mana to put him out. He's a 4/4, trample and haste. And then however much damage you do to the opponent is how many cards of of any graveyard you could choose to exile. And for each one of those that you exile that's a creature card, you put a +1/+1 counter on Froghemoth. And you gain 1 life for each non-creature card. Oh, you gain life for each card. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's pretty sweet. So this guy either pumps himself up or he helps pump you up for the non-creature spells. That's actually not bad. We got Hullbreaker Horror, 7/8. He's a 7/8. So he's probably the strongest guy you got. Yep. And anytime he says anytime you cast a spell, you choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, meaning you could counter stuff essentially, but it bounces it back to their hand rather than put it in the graveyard. Otherwise, you return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So if you can get this guy out, you can play another spell. You could bounce something back, non-land permanent. We got the Dusk Mangler, and I didn't think this guy was worth playing because of his cast. It costs 7 to put him out, and you have to sacrifice a creature and discard a card, or play 4 life. Oh, it's just an or. Okay, that's way better, right? But anyways, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do any of that. Just get a 5/4 out. But on the other hand, when it does come into play, your opponent has to sacrifice a creature, discard a card, and lose 4 life. Now, the good news is I believe that if we play this guy with Haunting Voyage, we're not actually casting him. So we shouldn't have to do any of that. And they should just suck it. And lastly, we got Toxrill. And so, yeah, Toxrill also, it says at the beginning of each instep, you put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. So that, in conjunction with the Sludge Monster, is going to be devastating. And then creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on it. And so that means this guy would make them into a 2/2, which means they become 1/1s. And at the end of my turn, or whoever's second turn it is, all those things die. Everything dies. So these two together are fantastic, right? And then whenever a creature with a slime token on it dies, you create a 1/1 black slug creature token. So you get a slug out of the deal. And then you could also pay to sacrifice a slug, and then you get to draw a card. So that's it for the creatures. All of these guys are fantastic. They work well together, and slamming them all out at one time is fantastic. You just got to get 7 mana. That's your ticking time clock. You got to really work it to try to get it going on there. But other than that, we've got some regular islands. We got some regular swamps. We got some semi-fast dual lands, some fast duels, semi-fast, fast, semi-fast, and slow. There are no basic force in here, despite the fact that the Binding the Old God actually calls for it. But whatever, man. In the sideboard, we got Environmental Sciences, which lets you go and get a land. Do we have Learn in here somewhere? Why do we have a sideboard? Yeah, it's like, I remember that there was this thing going on. I don't think we actually have any Learn in here. No, there's no Learn. So yeah, apparently at some point this thing had it, like somebody built it with a sideboard, but there's nothing with Learn. All right. Well, maybe that's something to think about, right? So that's the deck. Let's go see how well it does. All right, playing against Nuggetherapy. Actually, it's not. It's Nuggetherapy. Or is that New Gay Therapy? I can't quite tell. Lots of blue. We'll start off with green. Not playing anything in the black category for a little while, apparently. All right, good. We got something that can be black. We're also racing up our mana here, which is good. All right, what are we going to do? We will decline getting rid of the basic land. We'll get rid of 1, and we'll get rid of 2. Sorry. Been really enjoying the sludge monsters. So yeah, next turn, see, he's gonna, if he gets out another creature and puts the Luminarch's plus on it, then we're probably gonna Meathook Massacre. Because then we can actually slaughter, except for I don't have 2 black, do I? Nope, I do not have 2 black, so I guess Meathook's not gonna matter. All right, so let's put out the mana. And let's put out the Raffine Silencer. We'll connive up. What do I want to throw away here? There, you're looking good there, Raffines. Raffine. I would certainly dig another mana on my next turn, though. A few good things in here. Getting up to 6 would be good, but getting up to 5 would be fine. We got plenty of blues. I just need one of anything else. I would appreciate a black. Black would be really cool. Guess who's gonna die? Actually, Raffine Silencer is really sweet. The fact that when damage is dealt to it and dies, it deals that same amount of damage. to another target creature that your opponent controls. So it's a lot like the goblins or whatever. Come on, Sludge Monster needs to come out. I hate Into the Dungeon and Vex. There we go. We got our black. At this point, I could just kill them all. Let's just do that. 1, 2, 3. All right, they're playing Orzhov Dungeon, apparently. Mr. Nuggetherapy. Is it Nugget the Rapey? He just insists on going through that stupid dungeon. All right, Sludge Monster sludging. Don't worry, dude. I made your guy more powerful there. Look at that. Went from 1/2 to a 2/2. You're not playing blue. I don't know what you have to think about. I'm going to go touch your precious. That's what I'm going to do. All right, come on, mana. I got it. That's what I needed. Horrors. What are we bringing back here? Yep, I decided the haste of a Froghemoth sounded awesome. Plus, I think he's going to get strong chewing some people up. It'll be delicious. One, 2, 3, 4. That's what you got to watch out for. She doesn't do much. I think that's it. I'll Mind Flayer whatever you put out. So I don't think Mind Flayer, I don't think a shield protects it from Mind Flayer. Yoink. And we win. Woo! Victory, victory. All right, playing against Devastate XX. And 2 mana is not enough for this. We're going to mulligan. 3's good. We'll keep it, and we will put Dusk Mangler away. It's going to take a long time for us to get to anything good at this rate. Give him a nice little hello jiggle. Black and blue, put out a green. Is there, I might have needed a double blue more than anything else. All right, black up. We still got 5 is our earliest thing we got with the mana. We got. There's tons of things to play otherwise. Just got to get them out of the deck. You know, I really don't need that much green in here. I make that from a 6 into a 7. We're up to 4. Yeah, these are all the guys I should be throwing in the graveyard right now. And that's the card to fetch them all back. Come on, something cheap. Yo, pass the rock. That's not cheap. I can't do anything. Done. I mean, really, what I need one more blue mana. What's going to suck is I'll probably get like, I don't know, green or something like that. I pull the next mana. I'm sure he's got some creature kill up there too. I don't see any blood on the snow. It's just regular swamps. This guy likes to hesitate right at the end. All right, black, that's not going to get us anywhere. My mistake for not playing this as blue has come back to haunt me. All right, at least we got something going on here. 1, 2, 3. Still no blue. No blue. All right, let's throw a Hullbreaker and a Dusk Mangler in the graveyard. And we'll play this out as... I don't think I need the green. Let's see if this will give us anything. Nope. Still need 2 blue for that. What are we going to get rid of there? Toxrill. Okay, we're up to 6. We just need 1 more mana. I would love to get a Mind Flayer out there and take that Leer. Come on, deck, you could do it. This guy still has his whole turn to go. Ridiculous. All right, we're playing it the slow way. Still not a blue mana. I'm going to keep it, though. Here we go. We'll put it out as... I'll put it as green this time. Fine, whatever. And Froghemoth! Trample haste. Let's go. All right. What are we getting rid of? 1, 2, 3. Let me do that the right way. 1, 2, 3. If I had another blue, I would target the hell out of that guy. All right, let's go for this the hard way. Or... You're going to sacrifice Smokey. Froghemoth's not going to do anything good, so no attacks. But we will. I wish I had Slime Monster in there. That Hullbreaker Horror needs to become a 2/2 is what he needs. And start bouncing some dudes. I'd go after Toxrill if I were you. I have nothing to come back from here, do I? Where's my stinking blue mana? That is just ridiculous. All right, this guy's got 5, so we'll say 1. No, not you. Cancel that. Next. There we go. I gets a slug. It would be funny if you wipe the board and then I bring it all back on the next turn. It tells me he's looking for an answer. I'm guessing he's going to pull a bunch of cards and then he's just going to give up. You can kill one creature. I can't save anything, so whatever. Not a blue mana. Game over, man. Game over. How's it go? Winner, winner, victory dinner. We're playing Borduna 1900. And we'll keep it. Nice having the Haunting Voyage available. Stickfingers, good. And it's just the Hullbreaker Horror that's got to go to the graveyard. We need 2 blacks eventually, but we need a blue early. Let's start off with the blue. All right, so if I do this, I can play 2, which gets us into foretelling range. We don't have to waste a turn later on. I foresee a, what are they called? The dragons, ones that make all the treasure. All right, 3. This is going to get rid of Hullbreaker and Froghemoth. Before we just need to get another mana. We got the 2 blues. Mind Flayer would be really nice. That guy is who I'd like to take. It's going to do a bunch of damage, though, unfortunately. All right, there's a good mana for us. Let's place this one out. Let's thirst up. And what am I going to get rid of here? I can get rid of one of those. That's fine. I got 6 there. Need 7. I got time. A couple Mind Flayers are going to help a lot. Oh, yeah, him ripping through the graveyard isn't good. Well, hopefully he'll be on our side here in a second. You got that counter spell in there? Sacrifice a creature. Make it indestructible. Just looking for an answer. That's good. It's good to know. Because Mind Flayer with the 3 is not that hard to get rid of. That's the bad thing there. What do I got in the graveyard here? I only got one creature. Down to 9. Nice. He'll be great on my side. All right, we're looking pretty decent at this point. Let's go in for the attack. We'll take him out the dragon's way here. Yep, chew that one up. Yeah, I need to get his Stickfingers out so that way we can pop the graveyard with a bunch more stuff. We're going to have 7 on the next turn, which means that the Haunting Voyage is in a really good position. And our big problem here is that we just need to have stuff in the graveyard to pull. Tells me he's just going to pass, right? All right, so I can play this. I can also put out a Froghemoth. Nothing in the graveyard, though. C2, play this one for 4. Right. And we will send in both. Yeah, we'll get rid of her. That's fine. Next. He's going to have to give something up. He's going to get his treasure out of the deal, which means he'll get 2 treasure because of the Zorn. Put out our Swamp. All right, I'm really counting on a lot here. Hopefully he doesn't have any solutions for Stickfingers. So if I lose those Mind Flayers, he gets his guys back, and that would be sort of bad. On the other hand, I could play Haunting Voyage, bring them all back, take back his dudes again in a glorious and resounding way. That's the guy I'm scared of. If he's smart, he'd have to just sit there and do nothing. Because he needs to defend. Nope, he's going for it. Can't do anything to save that. He thinks he's won. Which is legendary here. This guy, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Let's take Zorni's in there. I think the big thing here is when my dudes came back into play. I really should have grabbed a flyer. He's got to sacrifice a couple. He doesn't want to get rid of his big guys, though, is the problem. And the only thing protecting him are his little guys. And we win. Jeez Louise. Victory! All right, so this is like Sultai Horror Tribal is what it is. And so let me talk about this deck. It is, to me, incredibly fun. Incredibly fun. It is not competitive. There are so many situations in which you get messed up. Number 1, not enough mana. Number 2, too much mana. That's like it for everybody practically, though. We were seeing it a lot tonight. Number 3, super fast aggressive decks because they're just too fast for this thing since they can't do anything early. So those are the 3 situations in which you get messed up and this deck doesn't do anything. But provided that your mana comes in a reasonable amount, provided that you're not getting nothing but mana, and that you can actually play this thing the way that the recipe calls for, it is a fantastically fun deck. So what is the real hero here? It's Haunting Voyage. I've never recognized how great this card is before when you're playing a tribal deck. Because, I mean, it costs you Usually you play Portel and it takes 2 away from the casting cost. In this case, you actually have to pay 1 more, but instead of bringing back 2 of a particular creature card from your graveyard, you bring them all back. And these guys are wonderful to bring back. The big problem then is getting them in there. How do you get them into your graveyard? Well, I'll tell you how you get them in there. It's Old Stickfingers. That guy is excellent at it. The problem is that you need to pump him up. So he costs 2 to put out. You'd like to have, you'd like to do like maybe 3 to get in there or something. The other way you get in there, Thirst for Discovery. It says draw 3 cards, then discard 2 unless you discard a basic land. You know what? I usually want the land, and I want to discard 2 big guys. So yeah, that's what's working for you here is the engine for Thirst for Discovery, Old Stickfinger, Consider, and Raffine's Silencer. Now, Raffine's Silencer ended up being much better than I thought she was because I thought, all right, well, she connives, therefore you're drawing a card and you're throwing away a card, which is what you really want to do with this deck. But I didn't pay attention to the part down below that says when she dies, the target creature and opponent control gets -X, which is equal to the Raffine's power, which means if it was up to a 2, she does 2 points of damage to something, that you're going to do an additional 2 points of damage after that. So you're going to be killing something that has toughness of 4 easily, right? And if you feel like it, you could pass out that 2 to somebody else. Maybe that's more effective that way. It's pretty sweet. Toxrill's awesome. You know what's great is Dusk Mangler. I wouldn't want to pay for this guy, but because if you bring him back with Haunting Voyage, you're not casting him, so you don't have to pay that sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay for a life deal there. So yeah, this is the guy you want to stick into your graveyard because that's where you want to play him from. Because when he comes into play, each opponent sacrifices a creature, discards a card, and loses 4 life. And that is fantastic. Fantastic. I think my big problem here is Hullbreaker Horror. I mean, he's great just because he's a 7/8, but you don't have the mana or the cards to play to activate his other abilities. You just have a big old 7/8 there. I mean, if you really need to, what do you got? You got Thirst for Discovery and you got Consider. And there's only 6 of those in the entire deck. Everything else isn't going to trigger anything here. It says whenever you cast a spell. Okay, I guess it'd be any of them then. I thought it might be instant or sorcery. But they're just talking about any spells. But these spells are not cheap, the ones in this deck. This is an expensive deck. Is this deck competitive? No, it is not competitive. When I first played this deck, I won a lot in a row. And I thought, wow, this deck is doing fantastic. I thought maybe it shouldn't be that fantastic. Maybe it's going to be about a 50% deck. Well, I just played it a truckload and I got like a 40% win rate. So it's not a winner chicken dinner deck all the time. But it's one of those decks you play because you're trying to get the pieces together because when the dominoes fall, it is so glorious. It is so wonderful when you play Haunting Voyage, you get like 10 dudes out at the same time. My God, that is the greatest feeling in the world. And even when you just do a 2, it is fantastic. And the Mind Flayers are so fun. The Sludge Monsters are great. I mean, my big problem with the Sludge Monsters is that their effect doesn't last if the Sludge Monster dies. And everybody seems to have some ability to kill any creature that's out there. The best part is they really don't have the ability to kill every creature that's out there. So when you can pound 100 of them out at the same time, that usually does very well. The other thing that's great is when you're playing this deck, you get a couple of the big dudes out. They die because people can kill individual creatures, but they go to the graveyard usually. And you are totally cool with that because every creature in the graveyard makes like Old Stickfingers even better and is just itching to come back when another Haunting Voyage is occurring, right? So, lastly, about the theme. Well, I mean, it's tribal, it's horror, but it's just that I don't really feel like these particular horrors have anything really to do with each other. They're just giant, weird-looking creatures. I don't like a Mind Flayer and a Toxrill. I don't see them hanging out with each other. A giant frog, a giant slug, a giant lobster, and whatever the heck a Dusk Mangler is. He's just a dude. And I don't even know what a Sludge Monster is. It's sludgy, right? In fact, I don't even think I think the sludge is just the green stuff. Like that face there, that's just somebody that's underneath the sludge, I think. A regular guy. So anyways, let's rate it then. Not super competitive, but incredibly fun. And the theme, while it's there, isn't a strong theme. So I'm going to give this deck, here's the deal. It's not competitive. You're probably going to lose more than you win. Therefore, it's at maximum, it's a B. Super fun though. So I'm going to give it that plus. And it's not going to go, I mean, the theme's not going to add or remove from that score there. So it's a B plus deck. I have it listed as Mind Flayer, but this is Sultai Horror Tribal. And if you play with this deck, I hope you have as much fun as I did. That is all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. From all of us here in the secret underground headquarters of Uncommonly Good MTG, have a great day. In the words of my people, shine on, you crazy diamonds. Later.